these are the people that they think are going to be potential hypothetical folks. Lane Kiffin. Here, let me just make this bigger. Lane pause, big pause. Oh, there it goes. Sorry. Lane Kiffin, James Franklin, Eli Drinkwitz, Matt Campbell. If I hear Matt Campbell's name one more time, Matt Rule or Mike Gundy. If I hear Mike Gundy's name one more time, nobody has utilized throwing his name into SEC jobs to get raises more than Mike Gundy has. Do any of these names excite you besides Lane Kiffin?
I think Mike Gundy's son lives in Florida. I think he is either at IMG or TNXL Academy, baseball player.
Okay.
Very good.
Mike was at Eli Drinkwitz is one that it's funny that they just mentioned that because it's one that's been brought up to me. As this season has gone on, you start getting, maybe not everyone, but I start getting phone calls from agents. Eli Drinkwitz is a name that will be pushed, and I think that's a name that Florida fans will hate. But it could work
out of here
because they hate because he's not a personality hire. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got no swag about him.
No. He's a like nerdier Dan Mullen.
Dude, he's a loser.
Personality.
Like he looks like he
get
should
him
be
the hell out of
my
here.
taxes.
No, I think that the first two are the only ones I like on this list, man. I like.
Well, how many times has James Franklin beaten Ohio State?
I don't.
As many as you have.
But that's not we need a guy that can put together a legit program in every facet. He hires great. That staff he got right now is a phenomenal staff.
Doesn't beat his rivals. He wins 8, 9, 10 games in the Big Ten, loses to Ohio State.
Buddy,
and Michigan wins 9 or 10
games.
How many? There's no guy on the list that's going to do any of that, right? We're just going by the guys that are on this list.
Yeah.
And I think the guys that are on this list, I don't think Lane Kiffin don't have a great track record with all of that stuff we just named. He's not no great winner. He just Lane Kiffin wins to me because he's just football royalty, man. He's just a football guy through and through, super competitive. He's going to take rivalries dead ass serious. So Lane Kiffin to me is the perfect hire, and I think and I do. This is not me guessing. I more than know that James Franklin will be interested in this job, man. Like 100%. I think he was interested in it last time. But those top two guys would be the only two guys on this list that I would like. While I do think the rest of them will be okay hires, I'm just not going to start off my lives with any of those guys. I'll lie for James and I'll lie for Lane.
I suggested Lane 3 years ago. Obviously, it was not listened to. Maybe
that's a popular suggestion for everybody. A lot of people like Lane, but we know there's some off the field baggage and some personality things that come with Lane as well. You know, he's not the greatest. If Lane start losing, you think we didn't like Dan Mullen when he started losing? If Lane started losing, he's going to be an arrogant prick to the fans as well. So
I'm saying my suggestion was probably a little different, or was suggested to someone different.
I don't think that any of these coaches will coach at the University of Florida next year.
I'll tell you, it's going to take
I don't know
10-year, $100 million plus contract.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, how much Lane's getting paid more than Billy Napier is right now, right? And if he takes them to prominence, whatever that means,
Ole Miss is a program that the roster they have, and they knew what the roster was. They're old. Like someone was like, who would Lane bring with him to Florida? I'm like, nobody. It's a senior laden roster. Ole Miss is a program that takes 4, 5, 6 years to build up to what they have. And their collective, which by the way, the Grove collective is fantastic.
Yeah.
Their collective realized, hey, this is our window with a 12-team playoff. This is our window to get in there and maybe we go crazy and make a run. And they spent in the portal to make this run. I think Lane would be interested in Florida because you don't have to, you shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have to build up to Florida for a 1-year run. You should be able to, with the resources that the UAA has given Billy Napier, you should be able to be a perennial power, compete for an SEC championship every single year. And if you're competing for an SEC championship every single year, you're in the playoff. That's not the situation he has, but he does like Oxford.
I do think Lane Kiffin would be like a $12 million a year hire. And I've never seen Florida do that.
Yeah, no, it'd be.
I mean, because
north of
Lane's making what, almost 9 right now. This is rough
9
math.
and change, I think.
Yeah, 9 and change. So to convince him to leave, right? Should Florida have to convince you? Is this a job that he wants? Probably. What's his name? Who's the guy where Josh Pate said that he would crawl, to Florida. And I do think that there's a lot of allure to do that and to come to the University of Florida. I just think that it's going to cost a boatload of money. And you just start running up against a lot of factors, right? Like we talked about, like what the board of trustees is dealing with factor wise. You're also dealing with what if Lane Kiffin is playing at the end of December? What do you do then? Right? You could have back channel conversation. I'm sorry.
I said, I already said that. You're punting. If it's Lane, you're punting this recruiting class.
Well, if you're punting this recruiting class and you're no longer 1 year away from being competitive in the SEC.
Yeah. That's
right.
That's
so
that's what I'm saying.
We're talking out of both sides of our mouth here. I'm not criticizing what you're saying, but like if Lane is interested in Florida because he can turn it around very quickly, make an impact and build a competitive roster, but at the same time, Florida's going to be without that. You're going to have a very different transfer portal season upcoming. Florida may be atrocious next year.
Yeah, I think they have no choice but to make a home run hire for like a splash, and for several different reasons. Allen in the comments brought up even Lincoln Riley was another name that I like, but I think you got to go be serious about football. I know what Florida hasn't paid in the past, and look what it's gotten us. Getting these makeshift coaches has gotten us in this spot. So somebody's gonna have to go make an investment into the football program to go get us a real coach, man. And I don't think anything outside of like those top 2 names, Lincoln Riley, will be acceptable. And you're gonna need a guy to keep this roster intact. College football is different now. You're gonna need a guy that can come in, the players believe, okay, we can win with this new coach because they won before. And that coach got to also be able to go pull guys out of the portal. He's got to have a good reputation. This recruiting class, I think, is going to be a wrap. It's going to be a transition class, whatever it may be. You rarely get good players out of these type of classes. So it's not like putting a lot of energy into that. The energy has got to be on, the future, building something substantial, getting this program some stability. And you got to go spend money to do that. You can't go get any of these guys towards the bottom that players are not going to believe in. Lane Kiffin, James Franklin, Lincoln Riley, those are the type of names that garners that national attention, that's going to garner some hype from the boosters as well. Like we talk about NIL, like you go and get some makeshift coach, like people not going to want to go spend money on another project. They're not going to want to spend NIL money. Like this is the coach investment that they're making is from the entirety of the whole program, and that's including NIL wise. You gotta pay a coach to go spend some NIL. If you don't want to spend money, what's gonna make the boosters go pay recruits money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was somebody, Spencer. That's wrong. Jed Fish would absolutely love to coach at Florida. He just got to Washington and has a $12.5 million buyout of his contract.
You just lost to Washington State too, right?
Sure did.
Get Fish out of here. No, I'm cool.
I'm just saying. He said he's not leaving Washington. I'm saying Jed Fish would probably crawl over broken glass to come to
There's a lot of glass that's being broken. I don't think any of these players or coaches should have to crawl over broken glass.
Jed Fish would build you a new Central Florida basement, redo your Central Florida basement to come to Florida. But it's $12.5 million to get him out of his contract.
Did you guys see, as egregious as this is, Matt Berry was on the Feinbaum show?
Dan Mullen's bestie.
Yeah, he said that Florida should hire Urban Meyer as a head coach emeritus, get them through this season so that Florida can try to get some momentum. Everything that I've talked to people that would know about Urban Meyer, right, and we can read between the lines there, is like, I don't think Urban Meyer is going to come back to coaching. Urban Meyer's living a very nice life down in Sarasota, beautiful house, golfs quite a bit, has a very nice job. I don't see Urban Meyer at the University of Florida. I could be wrong, but conversations that I've had with people that would know his decision making,